This is Celestial Awakening offering and reading for the collective. If you have found this video, then it is meant for you. Go ahead and pick a pile based on the one that you are most drawn to. So this is pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. And each have a different deck, and I will go ahead and leave the name of the deck in the description if you're interested in it. Alright, so we'll go ahead and get started. Starting with pile 1. Alright, universe, go ahead and give me messages for pile 1 and help guide them. Give them the messages that are much needed. Let's see. So we have 3 messages that already came out, and of course this one came out. This was the one that was on the top of the pile. So this one definitely must be for you. We'll actually make this the first card that we talk about. So before even reading the affirmations, I'm just seeing the number 5, and 5 usually means that a change either is coming, needs to come, or you are in the middle of a transformation. Your heart needs some healing. I can see, mi corazón, my heart. Your heart is hurting and needs some form of healing. And the key, I see a key hanging from her ear. The key to that is really listening to what your heart is hurting from. Is it hurting from external situations or internal situations, or maybe both? You need some love in your life, and I think you need to give that to yourself. Stop waiting for others or other circumstances to come along to bring you love. Maybe just buy yourself some flowers. Treat yourself with a little bit more love. The affirmation for this card is saying, with grace, dignity, and strength, I grow into the unique texture of my feminine soul. You don't have to, identify as a woman to really get in touch with your femininity. It's about finding a way to connect with the nurturing side of yourself. The nurturing side that takes care of not only others, but takes care of themselves. And that's what I hear from this card today. That you're not taking care of yourself, and your heart is hurting. I see some gray hairs coming out of her hair, and I think that means that maybe you don't have gray hair, but maybe you're looking at your flaws and finding reasons to not love yourself. But it's not okay. You are always worthy of love, and finding love within, not only externally, because I think a lot of the time in society we find beauty as an external circumstance when it mostly comes from within. Comes from, what do you have to offer others and yourself? Alright. I see flowers again, so I really do see that you're being called to nurture yourself, whether that is giving yourself flowers or giving yourself a nutritious meal, even if it's just once, even if you're just so tired that you can't keep up with a healthy routine where you're always taking care of yourself. Just choose once to do something gentle and nurturing for yourself. I see that you're being called to connect with others. Maybe you're isolating yourself, but to connect with others that truly care about you, whether that's your family or your friends. You're truly being called to find ways to nurture yourself. I see a lot of purple in here. Purple means that it's a color of spirituality. It's the color of your crown chakra, meaning that maybe that's a little bit unbalanced for you right now. Maybe you haven't been connecting with something higher than yourself, something beyond yourself, and that's causing you a disconnection from a higher form of reality, and it's causing you to feel maybe a little bit numb, maybe you're having a hard time connecting with the beauty of this world and this reality and being human, and you're just numb. And number 3 is all about family connections and divine timing. So I think, there is change coming, and it is in divine timing, but I think right now you're just being called to just connect with others, connect with yourself, get back to the basics, connect with something outside of yourself, that's beyond you, beyond your family, something higher, whether you're religious, spiritual, or an atheist. You're being called to connect to something, whether that's nature, God, your higher form of self, your angels, your ancestors. That will really connect you with this reality again, because right now you're not being told to make any huge changes, but that will naturally come once you connect with something higher than yourself. And that should bring awareness to the path that you need to go towards, healing yourself. So this affirmation, if you want to write these affirmations down, I highly recommend, or call you to do so if that is something that you're feeling called to do as well. This one says, if I sincerely ask, I am always guided back to the right path for me and to my central purpose. So I think right now you're feeling maybe a little bit lost, and we all get into situations where we feel a little bit lost and we feel a little bit disconnected from why are we even here on this planet? Why are we going through the pain that we've went through and feeling like it's for nothing? And so that happens to all of us. And so I think right now you're just being called to be gentle with yourself, love yourself through the pain, through the confusion, and find ways to just get back to the basics, get back to taking care of yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, and do things that give you purpose again. Because sometimes we get off path and we lose purpose and we get a little bit confused and things start to feel like empty, and maybe you find yourself dissociating a little bit from reality and just finding no purpose in going on. And I'm sorry that you've been feeling that way. I know how that feels. That's a heavy feeling. That's a heavy feeling that also feels so empty. And it's very confusing to be in that kind of state of mind. But new beginnings are on their way, as long as you find a way to connect with something higher than yourself, but also connect with yourself. So it's a union between your higher self and your physical self, your human self. Power of my voice. This affirmation says, I speak my truth and express my feelings to others with care and compassion. I think this one's honestly talking about, I know it talks about having, expressing your feelings to others with care and compassion, but I think it's also talking about the way that you talk to yourself when no one's around. When, no one can hear how you talk to yourself. How are you talking to yourself inside your head? Are you kind to yourself when no one's looking? Are you giving yourself nutritious meals when no one's around? Or are you just, giving yourself a quick meal and doing as much as you can to feel convenience rather than taking the time that you would for others, for yourself? This one, I see a lot of blue, and I think that it is talking about others and the way that you communicate, but blue is your throat chakra, and I think that this is really calling you to find ways to change the way you think about others and yourself, and connect with the way that you communicate. Because I feel like right now you're being really called to find a different way to communicate. When you transform your mind, you transform your life. And that's when the new beginning will come for you. That's when change will come for you. And I think the change that's coming is happiness, true happiness. Dolphins are very, they're high energy beings. And I think you're feeling a little bit drained right now. And I think once you find a way to really change the way that you think about yourself and the way you communicate with yourself and the way that you think about others and the way you communicate with others, that should really transform the way that you connect with this reality and bring you a sense of joy. Because when we change our thoughts, we change our actions. When we change our actions, we change the path that we're on. It's a matter of transformation. All right, let's get some more messages for you. Spirit, I ask that you guide pile 1 using these cards to give a message today for them to be needed, to be heard. Allow me to channel messages for pile 1 today using this deck. Yeah, I think before change is coming, I think it's really just asking you to really find inner sanctuary. And, like we've already been saying, I think that there's kind of been some disconnection between your morals and the way that you really treat yourself when no one's looking and when no one's listening. And I think if you change that, there's so much peace in this reality that's waiting for you to see it, and waiting for you to connect with it. I think right now you're just a little bit disconnected, and that's okay. I feel like we all find our way somehow into some form of disconnection, whether that's with others, with ourselves, or with reality, or all of the above. And that's just part of guiding yourself back to the path that you need to be on. It's just, taking responsibility for where we're at and where we want to be. And just being really mature with yourself, like, okay, am I really being respectful to myself? Would I talk to my friends and my family the way that I talk to myself? And start holding yourself accountable. When you hear a negative thought, really question it and say, like, for example, if you're feeling like, you have some outside flaws and you're really just like noticing them all the time, I think, would you do that to a friend or someone you love? Like, oh, look at, all those gray hair, like, that's ugly. Would you say that to someone you love? I don't really think you would. I feel like, maybe someone we judge or we don't truly love, but when we love someone, we don't talk to them that way. We don't pick at their flaws. We try to find the beauty in their flaws. And so I think that you're really being called to find beauty in your flaws and create an inner sanctuary. Create peace for yourself and stop waiting for external circumstances to do that for you. That will really bring abundance that it's already there. I feel like you're just not connecting with the abundance that you have and the peace that you can have in this life by just creating your own inner sanctuary. So the affirmation for this one, which is probably, this seems like the most important one so far. In my inner sanctuary, I connect to peace, inner quietude, and comfort. And so, really listening, like when your body says, hey, I'm thirsty, go get yourself a fresh cup of water and maybe put a little fruit in there and, do things like that to really treat yourself and make sure that you're feeling comfortable. All right, and then, yeah, you're really being called to, connect with your, like, loved ones. Maybe you have been isolating a little bit, and that's okay. But you are, your angels are, your angels or your ancestors or your guides are, they're there to protect you. It seems like you're very protected, and whether you feel protected or guided, you really are. That's why you're still here on this planet, and you still have a purpose, whether you've connected with that or not. And abundance is coming. I think it's a different type of abundance that I think a lot of the times we connect abundance with materialism, but there's so much more abundance out there than just materialism. And I think the more you connect with, your inner sanctuary, you'll realize how abundant you are. And it's the little things that make you abundant. Whether that's your physical health, and that's not even a little thing, but I think that a lot of time we just kind of take it for granted, our physical health. But that's true abundance right there. A lot of the times people say health is wealth, and I think that's really true. And I think that would really apply to you if you could really grasp that and just really find appreciation in the blessing behind your health. And maybe you're not as healthy as you desire to be, but not that it could be worse. And not that I want to disregard maybe the health problems that you have or are dealing with. Just find the abundance in your life, whether that's health, whether that's family, whether that's friends, or just a comfortable bed to sleep in at night, or a safe home. This affirmation says, following my truth, believing in and following my inner truth helps me live an authentic, empowered life. Yeah, I think, this message just says what, exactly what it needs to be said. It's following your truth will bring you back to a way of connecting with yourself and live a more empowered life. Let's get some more messages for you today. How can Pile 1 connect with their authentic self? How can they find the path that brings most peace to them? Yeah, I mean, the message just keeps coming out that when you choose to change your thoughts about yourself and others, you will naturally find abundance and comfort and peace in your life. Look how peaceful this card is. Look how beautiful this card is. This just shows the beauty that's being promised to you when you change your inner thoughts so that your outer world can really show you what's been hiding in the background. And that's, transformation right there. It's coming. It's just a matter of choosing, how much you want to hold yourself accountable for the life that you're living. Anyways, let's do 4 more cards. Pile 1. Let's give them the messages that need to be heard. Yeah, new beginnings are coming, and I'm so excited for you. I'm excited for your heart to be filled again, because right now it just seems like you've been struggling with a lot of maybe loneliness, and maybe you've been isolating yourself, and maybe you've had your reasons for isolation. Maybe people have hurt you, or you just feel safest when you're alone, and you can find a way to be alone without being lonely. You can see how the first few cards have been mostly blue and purple, and I think finding a way to connect, it seems like it's turning more into red colors, connecting with your lower chakras, and also heal. I mean, all is connected. So when you heal your crown chakra and your throat chakra and your third eye chakra, you can really start connecting with your lower chakras and let it all flow. And I think that that's what you're being called to, really connect with yourself physically, mentally, and spiritually, so that you can find ways to connect and feel safe alone, feel safe with others again, and find a love-based reality. So when you nurture yourself, you know, your whole reality changes. And it literally says that I am soul nurtured when I surround myself with friends and family who support a love-based reality. And so I'm not asking you to connect with others that aren't giving you the love that you deserve or the respect that you deserve, but I'm asking you to find and surround yourself with people that truly deserve to be around you, that maybe they need you as much as you need them. And, you know, sometimes we don't have a lot of those kind of people around, but we do know of one person or two people that we, you know, that are, your heart is being called to connect with. So yeah, again, looks like mostly just like your, you know, oranges and your reds on the lower. So I think once you know, listen to the messages that are being said, things are going to start feeling like, you know, you're healing. So first, you know, you're going to have to be with a little bit of discomfort, and you're going to have to really hold yourself accountable for, you know, the decisions that you've been making. Like maybe you haven't been feeding yourself nutritious meals and you've just been eating out, eating takeout, eating fast food. Maybe you haven't been, you know, being respectful to yourself with the people that you choose to be around. So it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable calling yourself out on your actions and your thoughts and your behaviors. And it's going to feel a little bit like, you know, there's some shame, but shame is not going to be the right emotion to, you know, get attuned with. I think, you know, finding beauty in your flaws and your mistakes like you would for, you know, your loved ones, and being okay with showing yourself love and compassion while also holding yourself accountable. This is, I mean, the message is pretty clear. It says the power of self-talk. It doesn't get more clear than that. So I think really the message is pretty clear that you're just being asked to really find ways to empower yourself with the way that you talk to yourself. And, you know, maybe I am affirmations are a little bit cheesy, but at the end of the day, it won't hurt to say affirmations that are positive, that are going to, I mean, it's not going to hurt you. And I think that every time you have a negative thought, maybe try saying 2 positive thoughts about yourself to really outweigh and hold yourself accountable for those negative thoughts and change the patterns, because humans are very habitual beings and our brains are very habitual. And when you know, when you get into the habit of negative thoughts over and over again, it's habitual. And at that point, you're, you know, they say in psychology, neurons that fire together or wire together, fire together. So neurons that wire together, fire together. And that's really true. So if you've, you know, been wired, if your brain's been wired to think negative thoughts, which most brains are just for out of survival, then, you know, it's going to take a lot more than just listening to one 5-minute positive affirmation video. It's going to take maybe more than 21 days, you know, to form a new positive habit of positive self-talk, and just being patient with yourself. And even if not every time you have a negative thought, you choose to say something positive about yourself, but maybe just every other time, where when you feel up to it, just, you know, slowly start to choose better thoughts that aren't going to hurt, you know, your self-esteem, your confidence, and, you know, find ways to empower yourself again. All right, let's get one last message from Spirit for you. Thank you, Spirit, for these messages. Self-belief becomes transformation. And it's just so interesting how this is mostly like oranges and reds, and the top is mostly blue and red, or blue and purple. So I think the message is really clear that, I mean, like, for example, like you're out of balance in your higher chakras, which is causing an imbalance in your lower chakras. And for example, like all of your higher chakras are around like your spirituality, your thoughts, your communication, and mostly I feel like with yourself. And that leaks out in the way that you interact with others. So you might be having issues with like your communication with others as well. I just think that spirit is calling you first to change the way that you think and talk to yourself before even thinking about your interactions with others, because that will slowly transform naturally when you find ways to transform your thoughts. Because again, your thoughts become words, and your words become actions, and your actions become choices, and that really becomes the path that you choose to live. And so when you change your thoughts and the way that you talk to yourself, you change your belief system, your morals, and so many other things. And this one says, self-belief is the magic key that opens up a better, more inspired future for me. And that goes back to the key that was on, your first card. The key to peace, the key to a more inspired future is positive self-talk, changing the way that you think about yourself, finding the beauty in your flaws and your mistakes, and really having compassion for yourself so that you can find compassion for others. Because right now I feel like there's a lot of disconnection even with like your connection with others. I'm feeling a lot of disconnection with like reality, because of it all starts with, your thoughts, and it looks like it just spirals outwards, and like just like her hair, it's like spiraling outwards from her forehead. So I think that the message is really clear, and you know what to do with these messages, whether you're ready to hear them or not. Just, whether you need to ponder on them and slowly choose, what you need to do next. I really call you to call upon your guides and your ancestors and your angels to really help you find a way to connect with yourself again, and find a way to, change your thought process. Maybe watch some TED Talks, maybe maybe go to therapy if that's accessible for you. Or, find ways to journal or become more present so that you really do, listen to the thoughts that you're hearing. So instead of listening to, music when you're driving or in the car or when you're doing something, maybe just listen to your thoughts and really hear what comes up, because a lot of the times it's the same things. It's the same narrative. It's the same narrative, and the same memories keep coming up. And when you start to be like, that's really interesting, this came up like 5 times today, why don't I journal about this so I can get it over with, so that I can move on and have a different thought? Or why don't I just, think about this? Why don't I talk to a loved one about this so that I can move on? And so I can form new thoughts. All right, pile 1. I would love if you could comment and let me know if this resonated with you. Sometimes, messages don't fully resonate when it's for the collective. So if you'd like a personal reading, you can always reach out or comment, and we can get something scheduled for you. Just take what's needed and leave the rest if it didn't resonate with you. And, I wish you the best. Hi, pile 2. Today we're going to be, getting the messages that are most needed to be heard today. So, obviously the first card we had today was Conscious Entity. But let's get some more messages to clarify what this first message is about. Alright, too many messages. Get some messages from Spirit. I call upon pile 2 spirit guides, angels, and ancestors to give positive messages for pile 2. Bring clarity for pile 2. Bring peace. So, pile 2. Let's see the message for this first card. Alright, so the first message that's coming through is that you are divinely guided and protected in this life. And you may notice, some synchronicities when, you're like, I shouldn't have survived that. Or, some synchronicities where, like, luck has been on your side. And that's your angels, pile 2. That's your angels. Or your ancestors, or a mixture, of all your spirit guides coming together to protect you and guide you in this life. And yep, number 7, I feel like you're very lucky in this life. Whether you see it or not, there's some luck behind the scenes going on for you. The message, for this card is, those whose minds are enchanted by sense, enjoyment, and material opulence never find the resolute determination to practice spiritual life. And so, whether you notice your luck or not, there is luck on your side, and maybe you haven't connected with the spiritual aspect of why, you've been protected. Because, maybe you've found abundance or in other ways. But, you're being called to practice a more spiritual life in this lifetime. Find ways to connect with the spiritual realm. And that will bring even more luck for you, even more abundance. And this will bring your awareness to your luck and your abundance that you have in this lifetime. So yeah, I think you're really being encouraged to connect with, the spiritual realms and really connect with, whether that's God or angels or ancestors. Find a way to connect with something. And it could just be with others. Connect with others. So this one says, let not the wise disturb the minds of the ignorant who are attached to fruitive work. They should not be discouraged from working, but encouraged to work with the spirit of devotion. So, devotion is a word of, a spiritual practice, and you're being called to devote your life to something more spiritual, something beyond just making money and, beyond the fruitive work that usually people go to work to make money, and that's usually the end of the cycle. However, I think whether the next step for you is to find a job, find work, find a path that is beyond just making money, find a path that helps others, helps bring peace to this world, helps, there's just too many people out there that are taking and not really giving back, when you can really be able to have abundance while still taking, but also giving back. And I think that's true abundance right there, is finding work that not only gives you what you're wanting, but also you're giving back to the world and you're not just taking. When you decide to seek a path that, not only benefits you, but benefits others in the world, and, something more spiritual, you will meet others and you will find opportunities that will be, people are going to be wanting to work with you, and you're going to find the opportunities that will help you allow this vision and this path to play out. And so if you're worried about leaving a job because it's providing the abundance that you need, or it's providing you survival in this, economy, in this reality, you're being asked to and encouraged to not have fear of lack of abundance, and start living with, you know, trust and faith that when you leave something behind, you know, or when you close one door, another door opens, and many doors will open for you. When you choose to live a path that is beyond materialism, you will be promised so much more abundance than you're even getting right now. And you can see what the message is for this one. By virtue of transcendental knowledge, the wise see the same divine truth in all beings, from the wise and gentle priest to the cow, the elephant, a dog, or even the outcastled dog eater. So, yeah, I think exactly what I was saying with, like, endings are coming, but it's more of your choice, like whether you want to continue the path you're on, or if you're ready for something more meaningful. Transformation is waiting for you on the other side of an ending, of leaving a job or leaving the path that you're on for something more meaningful. When you're ready, you know, you can stay where you're at, and I'm sure you'll find, you know, you'll find some abundance, but it's not going to be meaningful. It's going to continue to push you further and further away from your purpose on this planet. And eventually you're going to, whether you face it now or eventually you're going to have to face that you're being called to something much higher than yourself in this life. So I think this is interesting because I was not expecting this message to come out, but I think, you know, when you follow the path that is most aligned with your purpose, whether you know your purpose or not, but you know it's obviously something, you know, higher than yourself and beyond yourself, you will meet someone, and others, of course, you'll meet lots of people that have the same path as you and that have the same calling. And out of those people, you'll meet, you know, possibly your soulmate if you haven't already. Or, you know, this could be confirmation if you're already on this path of choosing something more meaningful, then, you know, you might have already met your soulmate. But if you haven't, you're going to meet that person following this path, and they're going to have the same calling as you, and it's going to be very, you know, meaningful and a connection that will last, you know, this lifetime, because you guys will have the same path, which means you'll never have to go separate ways. And I think, like, the fear keeps coming up of, like, doing things, like, that, you know, can be seen as nuanced, like leaving a job that's obviously giving you the money that you need to survive. And, you know, you're being asked to let go of that fear, because fear is only going to hold you back in a situation like this. And it's not going to bring you the abundance that you're, you know, being called to really connect with. All right, let's see. And then, of course, the bottom of the deck, we have Eternal Soul, which it's around soulmates and finding that soulmate in this life. But I think, you know, that's only when you find, you know, the path that you're supposed to be on. Otherwise, you're going to continue to, you know, meet people that aren't meant for you because you're on the wrong path. And I see a lot of, like, twos. Like, we see two birds here. Two people. You know, two again, and then, you know, verse 20. It's, you know, twos are coming up for you because I think, like, whether you've met this person or not, this may not, like, if you have met someone and you feel connected to them, but they're not encouraging you to really find something beyond yourself, and they're continuing to instill fear and pushing you to live a life that's just about taking and not giving back, then that might not be your person, whether you want to hear that or not. And if you haven't met someone that person will come along when you choose the path that you're actually supposed to be on. All right, let's get some more messages for pile 2. Spirit, please give messages for pile 2. I mean, the message is very clear that there is fear coming out for you right now. And here, let's move these over a little bit. The message is very clear that there is fear coming up for you, and you're being asked to look fear in the eyes and tell it that it doesn't have control over you. You didn't come to this planet in this lifetime to live in fear and not follow, your purpose. You didn't overcome all that you've ever overcame to hide behind fear. You've overcame so much in this life and in past lives to come here again and to not follow through with the path that you're being called to be on is it's a disgrace to your soul, and it's a disgrace to yourself. And you know that you have callings, a deep calling to connect with something in this planet, in this world, beyond materialism. And materialism naturally comes when you connect with something beyond yourself, because so for example, money is a currency. And I think a lot of people think that you should be taking money, obviously, but if you're not giving it back in some form, it's going to get clogged eventually, because that's currency is a form of flow, and when there's a clog, then it causes some stagnation, and that's what's eventually going to happen if it hasn't already for you. If you're just hoarding money, or you're living in fear and you're not wanting to give it back to others in other ways. It doesn't have to be oh, here, I'm going to donate all my money to charity. That's just a little bit, extreme. But finding ways to give back, whether that's giving your time or giving, making food for your loved ones, or whatever you can give back. You're being called to give to others, and to not let fear tell you not to do so. And this card is coming out. So yeah, I think when you don't overcome your fear and you listen to your fear, it's like a disgrace to your soul. You're doubting why you're even here, why you've even came to this planet, and it's almost disrespectful, because you've overcame so much, and when you don't listen to your callings, it's going to bring you a form of disconnection and depression eventually, if it hasn't already. And that's just natural. That's a natural reaction to not living your soul's purpose. Let's get one last message for pile 2 regarding messages need to be heard for the collective. So, this is the first message I'm getting is you're living in a lot of fear, which most of us are. Society literally instills fear in all of us so that we continue to feed into capitalism and materialism, and never feel like there's enough for us. And I feel when you leave, whether that's leaving a job, or a person, or a relationship that does not serve you and is not serving others in this life, it's going to feel like chaos. It's going to feel very painful. But because it's a painful decision doesn't mean you shouldn't make it. You can see this person right here fleeing a situation, and he's empowered. And I feel when you leave a situation, it's going to feel very empowering, but it's also going to feel everything is crumbling behind you. And that's kind of the process of transformation. Sometimes it kind of starts to look like an ending when a beginning is actually happening. And you're gonna have to look beyond the fear. You're going to have to look beyond the crumbling behind you and look forward and see abundance, and see not only abundance for yourself, but like for others. Like there's so much more to this life than like your ego and your persona as this human that you are right now. And I think you know that, but it's hard to like really choose to stop being selfish, because again, like society has instilled this fear in us that like we should never trust anyone, and that like we need to like fight for like our life and our bank account, but like not others' bank accounts, and I think that there's a way to like live in prosperity while like helping others live in their prosperity and like their abundance. So the message is very clear that there's abundance on its way, and it's coming. I think that it's just a matter of like leaving some things behind, whether that's a job or relationship, or I feel like abundance is either way you choose to go. I feel like you're an abundant person, you're a lucky person in this life, whether you know that or not. But it's your choice, like the path that you want to choose, whether that's gonna be just for yourself, or if you're gonna choose to like help people around you and help this planet and like help consciousness, collective consciousness rise. That's your decision. And there's consequences for each action, so it could be a positive or a negative consequence, but I think you know what you're being called to be, go on. And I think it's a process of like choosing some difficult decisions, and that's okay. I think difficult decisions lead to the best outcomes. All right, so if this message, if it resonated with you, I would love if you would comment and just, say if this resonated, and thank you so much for watching. Hi, Pile 3. So the first message that came out was grounding. Let's go ahead and get some more messages before I really speak on these messages today. Let's see. Maybe, obviously the first message is grounding, so maybe you're being called to find a way to ground yourself. Maybe life has been chaotic for you, busy, and you're being called to maybe just ground, whether that's drink some warm tea, find a meditation on YouTube, even if it's just for like 3 minutes, or listening to some calming music, or even just taking a few deep breaths. And maybe like let's do that together right now. If you want to take a deep breath with me, we can go ahead and take that together. it's okay to feel overwhelmed, and it happens a lot of the time when you have goals, or even if you're just trying to survive and you're just working, and it's just, or you have kids, and or you're working and you have kids, and there's just chaos in your life. I think we can get kind of caught up in not taking care of ourselves, or like not taking into account our own physical or like mental well-being, because we're like, oh, that's right now, like, I'm just trying to survive, or like I have other things that are priority right now. And I think that's a little bit unfair for you to not, even if it's just like take a few deep breaths in the middle of your day when things feel a little bit chaotic. I think that's what you're being called to do. Your angels, and your guides they're always around, they're always listening, they're always wanting to guide you. I think right now, again, with like the chaos, I feel like you're not turning towards them as much as like they would want you to. And I think you're also being called to, like, what a form of grounding would be like unplugging from social media for a little bit. And even if it's just like one outlet that's like overwhelming you, because sometimes our algorithm can turn a little bit crazy and you can start seeing a lot of negative things. And whether you realize that consciously or subconsciously, you're being called to really unplug from a source that's really causing a lot of extra chaos in your life. You already have enough going on in your plate, and like just having more chaos on like on social media is just not helpful. And I think all of us can do that sometimes, like really just not, like we continue to like scroll when it's like, oh my god, this is horrible, like the stuff that we're seeing, and we just kind of ignore our own subconscious mind telling us that like this is overwhelming. All right, let's get some more messages. Okay, so really interesting. So we have 1111 and we have 33. So I think your angels are really trying to communicate with you through numbers, and maybe you're into angel numbers, maybe you're, just starting to see them a lot, or maybe you've been seeing like 333 or 1111. You're really being called to connect with your numbers a lot more, because your angels are using numbers to communicate with you, because numbers are universal, and that's, they don't speak English, they speak through numbers or like symbols. And yeah, I think that's really exciting that you're being called to like really listen to the numbers that are coming up for you, whether you're looking at your phone and it's 333 or 1111, or you'll see a license plate with 333 in the back, or it could be a different number, but I am seeing like 33 and 1111 coming up for you. And your angels are really wanting to connect with you a lot more than like you're allowing them to. And this could be a really good way for you to find, messages throughout the day to like bring you back to grounding. Like if you see 1111, then like you can take that as like, okay, I'm forgetting about, this reality is special, this reality is magical, and I'm getting a little bit overwhelmed with like the duties in my life, and I'm not really connecting with like the spiritual aspects of my life. And so I do want to read you this card from the book, because I wanted to read you the different numbers and what they mean so that you can really start to connect with them. So it says, the universe is speaking to you through numbers, from 1111 on your phone, like I was saying, to the repeating number patterns that catch your eye. Information is being transmitted from the creative universal intelligence into your soul cellular awareness. You may feel energetic healing as you receive these transmissions of number frequencies. Numbers are energetic medicine. They are particular frequencies in a universal language of love that helps heal and guide you. There are no negative numbers. Healing vibrations of numbers are working for your soul right now. Which numbers do you notice most often at this time? The frequency of the 1 is about beginnings, taking the initiative, believing in yourself, and accepting a leadership role in which you step ahead of the curve, beyond the consciousness of those around you, to guide the human race forward into love. The frequency of the 2 brings healing around partnership and allows you to be helped by others, particularly in relationships, whether businesses or personal. The 2 indicates more can be gained by working with another. The frequency of the 3 indicates a time to learn, write, teach, or develop new ideas, collaborate with others, and create win-win situations. It is also the number stamp of the Ascended Masters, particularly multiple 3s affirming their connection with you. And so, I mean, it doesn't get more clear than that when it's talking about Ascended Masters and then Master Hilarion and Archangel Raphael show up in your reading. They're really wanting to connect with you right now. And not just them, but like all of your angels and your ancestors and your guides are like, I mean, in this reading, they're like wanting to connect with you more than the other decks that I've, the other piles that I've had today. And just get excited about like finding ways to connect with like the spiritual realm. So the frequency of the 4 brings angelic healing, divine order, and an influx of energy into the physical plane. It is a get things done energy, which can help you materialize desires. More than one 4 in a row means that angels are speaking to you. Call upon their loving assistance to help you manifest with your divine destiny. The frequency of the 5 announces change and acceleration. An issue is resolving. Transformation is happening through divine alchemy. If you see a 5, let go. Allow what is happening to happen. Trust in the goodness beyond all unfolding in your life. The frequency of the 6 is love, money, beauty, and abundance. Many people are afraid of the 6 vibration, especially multiple 6s, which some teach are a sign of evil. There are no negative numbers, however. The 6 is a sign of material abundance and healing of prosperity, love, and romance. The frequency of the 7 indicates healing ability, channeling of spiritual wisdom in the sage or teacher. It is a sign to accept what makes you unique and to balance your social life with restorative solitude. If you have asked about your life mission, this 7 indicates it is, at least in part, self-healing and very likely the healing of others too. So we had 7 come up in your reading as well. The frequency of the 8 asks you to step into leadership that is not apart from others, but amongst them. Others may look to you as a role model or authority figure. Accept this with humility and remember to encourage others to find their own power. The frequency of the 9 is a highly spiritual energy indicating blessings, compassion, and an ending of a cycle. It comes with resolution of unfinished business is taking place so a new cycle can begin in due course. It also indicates the Christ consciousness and can be a message from any master that resonates with that energy, reminding you to trust your heart and ask for love to bless and assist you. The frequency of the 0 is a divine wild card. It amplifies the energy of the other numbers and places a divine stamp behind it. Any significant number accompanied by a 0 is a message direct from the universe. It is the divine saying, I am sharing something true and special with you. Take note, for I am with you. Use the invocation below when you feel the numbers are talking to you and want to absorb their loving message. So this is an invocation or a prayer, and if you want to pause this and write this down, or if you want to just close your eyes and really absorb, this prayer so that you can find ways to connect with these numbers. It says, I give thanks for the messages, energetic healing, support, and encouragement given to me now and always through unconditional love. I give permission to unconditional love to heal my body, mind, and soul through the healing frequencies of the numbers. May all beings feel the love and guiding intelligence of the supportive, nurturing universe. Okay, so I think, while I was reading that, a little bit of, feeling rushed or like chaos was coming up because I started to slip on my words. And so I think, you are really being called to ground and just take deep breaths and slow down a little bit if you can, and to unplug a little bit and just live like a more like simpler life, just for a little bit until you can find a way to feel grounded again. So let's get some more messages for pile 3. 44, all the numbers are coming up for you. So 4 to me specifically is around being guided and protected. And so I think, you know, your angels are, they're wanting to connect with you, and they're using numbers right now to really connect with you, but they're asking to find a way to connect with like rituals, order, and ceremony. And so if you don't pray, maybe you're being called to pray, or if you don't really find ways to connect with like in the spiritual realm, like you could start out with really getting into like numerology, or, you know, starting to like for example, like this, he's like looking at some kind of like text, and I think maybe you're being called to like find books around like philosophy, or like for some reason like hermetic texts are coming up for me, and that's, you know, really interesting. But maybe like look up some books that are really interesting to you, so that you can really connect with like the world you're living in and the universe that you're living in, and that will help you connect with like the spiritual realm a little bit more. And just find ritual that will really bring grounding for you, by finding rituals in like a morning prayer or like a morning meditation, and like maybe a like, or if you don't really want to connect spiritually more, or like if you're, you know, you're more drawn to like just finding a way to ground yourself, you're being called to just like, you know, find a routine that's like, that brings that grounding for you, whether that's like every morning before you even look at your phone, go and you make some tea and like sit outside if it's, you know, not too cold or not too hot, and just connect with yourself. Take some breaths. That's just one example of like finding a ritual that works for you. Or maybe you can like light some candles before you shower every night and make that just a routine, something that like brings you peace. Okay, let's get 2 more messages for pile 3. Goodness. Okay, this one's coming out. So all of the masters are coming up for you right now. This is so interesting. Maybe you're a Christian, or maybe you're not. Maybe you're an atheist. Maybe you're religious, or like a different form of religion, Hinduism, or, you know, you practice, or you just, you know, you're not really spiritual at all. You're really being called to like connect with the spiritual realm. And I think like studying ancient texts is, you know, something that you're being called to. So whether that's the Bible, or like the Upanishads, or hermetic texts like the Book of Thoth, or like something like that, you're really being called to study ancient texts. And yeah, just like, I mean, honestly, just to find like stories that you can resonate with, and to really connect with like the magical side of this life, because I think a lot of the time we kind of normalize our planet and like being human, and we kind of become desensitized to the beauty that we live in. And you're really being called to like change your perspective, so that you can find like how magical this life is. Like, for example, like, I mean, waterfalls are something we have on this planet, and I feel like they're just so magical alone. And like beaches, for example, and like sunsets, like all of these things are like so magical. And like the solar system, these are insane. If you really think about it, it's actually crazy that like we're flying on a rock in outer space, and like we have sunsets and like oceans and like waterfalls and flowers, and we're like human. I think it's really interesting. Like, whether you're interested in that or not, I think you're really being called to like study philosophy and like ancient texts, and connect with like, you know, whether that's Jesus, or like Christ consciousness in general, or like yogis from the Upanishads, or I don't know. I think you're just really being called to, like, you find what you're being drawn to, or maybe you already have some ideas of, like, books you've been wanting to read, but you haven't, like, set time to do that, and that's gonna help you ground if you really just chose to make time for things that you're actually interested in, and not just, like, your responsibilities. Like, maybe you do have kids and you just feel like, oh, I need to focus on them, but, like, if you really want to find ways to, you know, be the best parent, taking time for yourself is gonna help you really be present when you're around them, instead of feeling like, oh, you know, you're having these other interests like numerology and things like that, because you can also spend time teaching them about numerology as well, or philosophy, and like you don't have to have kids, but this is just an example, or like, you know, obviously this is a collective reading. So all right, our last message for today. The heart transmission. Yeah, I think like if you could see every single image, their eyes are closed, and so that's really interesting. But I think you're really, you know, like, again, you're being called to like find ritual, find, like, connect with yourself spiritually, like your inner self, and meditate. And whether that's just starting with like a 5-minute guided meditation on YouTube. I really like the channel Great Meditation. They have the best guided meditations on YouTube. So if you're, you know, wanting a recommendation, I recommend them. I always, you know, try to do, even if it's just like 5 minutes. And I feel like at the end, I'm like, wow, I'm so amazed with like the peace that comes from just meditating for 5 minutes. Yeah, I think you're really being called to like connect inwardly, and that should bring outward peace. Yeah, I'm really excited for you. I feel like you have some homework, like you have some things you need to like focus on, like, you know, maybe purchasing a book that you've been wanting to read for a while, or like meditating, or like, you know, taking a pause or break from social media, or, you know, studying numerology or philosophy. I'm excited for you. This is a really cool group. So if this resonated with you, I would love for you to comment and subscribe, or, you know, let me know if this resonated and if you'd want a personal reading. All right, thank you, Pile 3.